It's funny because we have NFL Network on here in the studio, and I saw that the Falcons and the Dolphins were having a joint practice today, and it made me think of this question, which I'm sure you can provide an answer to. Are you surprised that the Cowboys have decided not to engage in joint practices this season going into this upcoming year?
No, I actually love it. I thought it was a waste of time with Denver last year. I did the whole trip up there and everything. I thought it was a waste of time. And McCarthy talked about it a little bit this week. He thought they have enough on both sides of the football right now and enough work they can do with each other that they didn't need it. The offense and defense, they've all had their moments against each other here. So I like what they were doing. And then if somebody's not coming to you, I don't know if you necessarily need to be a part of that, because they had to leave and going up to Denver and then come back. I just don't see the need for it. Plus, you look at the schedule they have. So they're here in California. You're playing back in Texas Saturday. They come back to California. Then they go up to Seattle. So I really don't think they needed a joint practice. You start thinking about all the traveling and everything that you're dealing with here.
Well, Newy, obviously being out in Oxnard, the big talk of this year is Mike McCarthy taking over when it comes to play calling duties. What has been, to your eye, the biggest difference in offensively, either how it runs in training camp or just kind of the way that the offense looks?
Hey, look, man. A part of it is, if I put Brandon Cooks in your offense, I'm going to look good call plays too. He's dialing it up, man. They look good in terms of you're just seeing like what they could do this year. They look good. I love watching Deuce Vaughn catch some screen passes and go. I love how they put Turpin in the offense the other day and they had him going here. So I've always been one of those guys who had a conspiracy theory that Mike didn't really want Kellen Moore, but it's what he said so he could get the job, because the Joneses really loved Kellen Moore. But why would you not bring in a dude who called plays and won a Super Bowl? I mean, you think Denver hired Sean Payton for him not to call any plays? Or, hey, if Sean Payton wants to call some plays, don't let him do what he do. Why? Because you have respect for him. And what most people don't realize is Sean and Mike both got jobs the same year. In fact, Sean wanted the job Mike got, the Green Bay job, because he interviewed for it. So in 2006, they both become head coaches. Both guys have sat out a year, and Mike McCarthy has more wins than Sean. Got the same Super Bowl record as Sean. Been in more NFC Championship games as Sean. The kind of disrespect that's there for McCarthy is it's really weird. He's won more games than Tony Dungy. He's won more games than Bill Cowher. He's won more games than John Harbaugh, who's also won a Super Bowl. I don't have an issue, guys, with what Mike McCarthy is going to do in calling plays. There were times I was frustrated watching Kellen Moore. The Green Bay game, Jacksonville game, you're up 14. They cut it to 7. Next thing you know, you got to drive this not chewing up the clock. So I think Mike McCarthy is going to be able to get back in here in his element and do what he does. You don't have to worry about the defensive side of the football because you got a guy in Dan Quinn who can go out here and get this job done here. So I think the Cowboys are going to put themselves in a better position to take advantage of better talent, and I'm a fan of Mike McCarthy right now calling the plays.
Newy Scruggs, NBC5 sports director, joining us here on the Get Right with Reggie KG on 105 through the Fan, live from Oxnard, California. You have been there this week. What has been the mood, the chippiness, if you will, because it feels like this team is going to get after each other both offensively and defensively, and obviously you had a chance to talk with Shady McCoy about some of his comments about that. Talk to me about what that vibe has been, and obviously having Shady McCoy out there kind of at practice, but not really.
These dudes want to win. They want to win, and they want to do something significant. I like when Micah Parsons is sitting up here saying, I've gone to guys and challenged them. Let's go do something here with our opportunity. Leighton Vander Esch, I sat down with him. He brought up Super Bowl. I mean, these guys understand the gravity of what happened last year, but they also want to be better. They want to go further. That part that to me is a cool thing, because it changes a door that is open from the inside, guys. So they have to want this thing. And I see that these guys are a together unit. Having covered a Super Bowl team, because I covered Jimmy's last team when they were training down in Austin, Texas, and seeing this team, you just see the similarities of guys who want to play with each other. The whole, you talk about guys talking trash to each other, trying to get the best of each other. That's what Jimmy's teams do. James Washington was here on Saturday, and I ran into James, and Kenny Gant was here, and Steve Berline was out here. But I was talking to James. I was like, you talked a lot of trash to Troy. He's like, man, yeah, of course. What you think? I've been playing with Troy since UCLA. Of course we did. We all talk. If you think Charles Haley didn't talk. And then, of course, Jimmy had a bunch of Miami Hurricanes. You think they was choir boys that all quiet on the field? Guys, nobody say anything to Troy. It's Troy. And you got to remember, Troy was also the guy that was 0-11 his rookie year. So there's people whole reverence. They're like, oh, my gosh, it's Troy. No, he was a guy who was 0-11, and Skip Bayless was here, said they should have kept Steve Walsh. When he was skipping some comments from the Dallas Morning News, and there are people like, man, he never won anything in college. This guy's not the real deal. Troy went through it. But to sit around here and act like, oh, my gosh, these guys are trash talking. And when I talk to Shady, people just don't do that where I did it from. Well, as you. These guys all said there's not an issue here. Well, what are they supposed to say? Shady wanted to have his point of view. When I worked at the Fan, had old boss Todd Bigby said, you're trying to win an argument. You guys are trying to win an argument. And so I wasn't going to win an argument with Shady. I merely asked my questions, and then we had our back and forth with each other. And so that was that. I actually did enjoy my conversation with him from the standpoint. I didn't want to do it. My photographer, Noah Bull, was like, man, you want to talk to him? I'm like, no. this bull job. But anyway, I just went over and talked to him after practice. I thought that, all right, did you see Shady? No. Was he here? Yeah. Where was he? I was like, he was over here with Acho. It's like, I saw Acho. I said, so he didn't talk to you before anything? Why would he? No, he didn't want to do that. So there you go. So it was, in its own way, it was a good marketing play. Like, hey, guys, we're here. And then we got to go. Like, okay, so you got a show today you got to go do. But, they were here Saturday. You all could have came up here Saturday because you ain't got no show on Saturday. So you could have come. Mm-hmm. A whole bunch of folks came. Keyshawn came through. There was a bunch of people came through and watched all of practice and talked to people afterwards. But, hey, they did what they did.
And sometimes you just got to show up to the event and show face. I respect it.
Photo op, baby. Photo op.
No, but you were discussing the argument, even if you do not want to delve into it. And the argument seems to entirely be about Dak Prescott, the interceptions, whether it be last season or in training camp or what have you. I don't necessarily want to ask you to weigh in on that in particular because I feels like it's overwrought. But is there anything that you find interesting within the entirety of the conversation of Dak Prescott leader as quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, or is it just entirely rote at this point?
Nah, dude. For me, I kind of laugh. Like his thing on Dak is like Republicans who hate Hillary Clinton. Like, but her emails. but Dak. I'm like, okay, all right. If that's what if you're going to harp on that, then that's all you're going to harp on, and that's all you're going to see. I'm not going to change his mind. Mm-hmm. That's his thing. But at the same time, guys have decided how they want to do this business. His thing is, I don't like Dak. Stephen A. Smith's whole thing is, the Cowboys, they always going to let you down. Skip Bayless's deal is, LeBron is no good. Oh, the Cavaliers won a championship, but LeBron had to have Kyrie do it for it because he couldn't make a shot. I mean, that's their shtick. It's their jam. Okay. But I just don't really buy into it. But unfortunately, as Bill Parcells once said, perception's reality. Mm-hmm. So I got my good friends calling me. One of my best friends from business school, he don't call me. Hey, man, Shady said they don't respond. I'm like, dude, what you listening to Shady for? You're not here? I'm here. Well, that's why I'm calling you, because it's on my feed. I'm like, you're an intelligent guy. Why would you believe that? But this is it's like that political chamber that we're in. People get stuck on stuff, and it's like, that's what we got to go with. So, oh well. But if you're smart enough, if they're listening to your show, if they're listening to other shows on the Fan, and you realize and you understand from the people who are around this and do this stuff all the time that what you're hearing from FS1 is not accurate.
Newy, before I let you go, I want to ask you real quick about Dirk Nowitzki, because obviously this is his Hall of Fame weekend as someone who has covered his entire career and obviously the championship team back in 2011. Kind of just put into perspective quickly Dirk Nowitzki and what this is going to mean, not just for him, but for the entire city who watched him grow and become the Hall of Fame player that he's going to be inducted in this weekend.
to watch Dirk lose his best friend Steve Nash and then lose to him in the playoffs the next year, and then see them win the Western Conference Championship in Phoenix, and Steve gets, a second MVP, and then they're up 2-0 in Miami. Then in Game 3, they got a 13-point lead with 6 minutes to go. Then they lose that game in the next 3. Then they go in 07 and win all those games, and he's the MVP, and they get put out by Nelly in the first round. At that point in time, I saw the viciousness that people had toward Dirk. I saw racism toward Dirk. I saw so much negativity. And to watch that man win the championship in 2011, it was great. There were 2 guys that I had really been happy for in my career, 3 guys that I was so happy to see win championships: Shaquille O'Neal, Dirk Nowitzki, and to be there and talk to DeMarcus Ware, to see that you knew the road for these guys was bumpy. They had a lot of criticism at times, and to rise above it and get that ring, you just say, yes. Dirk Nowitzki, a lot of people now jump on the wagon, but I'm telling you, I remembered a lot of the negativity. I remembered a lot of the unfair criticism towards him. And for him to go to the Hall of Fame, I'll never forget those moments. And I'm just happy for him to get that moment, because the dude has shown more grace than I think I ever would have. And the many times that I've seen those tough losses, that dude got in front of the microphone and he answered the questions. And there's a hell of a lot of guys, not just in this town, but across sports, that could learn from Dirk Nowitzki, that if you want to be the face of a franchise, you show up when you lose as much as you show up when you win.
You can find him on Twitter at Newy Scruggs. He's an 11-time Emmy winner, and, of course, NBC5 sports director and one of the true gentlemen in the business. Happy to call him a friend and a mentor. Newy Scruggs, good enough to join us here on the Get Right. Newy, as always, thank you so much for the time and the perspective, sir.
It's always an honor.
Anytime you need me, just throw up the hat.
Bring a steel chair with us too, huh?
Hey, I'll swim across a platform for you, Newy.
Call me Scuba Gooding Jr.
Get out of here, Newy, man. I'll talk to you later, man.
Later.